Hey there team, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to Worth It Then, Worth It Now, an ongoing segment idea here on this channel where I have a look at games from yesteryear. Specifically, we're focusing in on 10 plus years old, and I line it up with a sale where possible. So today's game is Hacknet. Came out, tail end of 2015, and it's currently gone on sale for a couple of bucks at the time of this recording. What an absolute banger, it's cool to come back to this. I haven't played it in a while. It's very unique. I think I'll just lay this out on the table straight away. This is Hollywood hacking is probably how you would best describe it. Not real hacking, not at all. I mean, there are some very basic fundamentals. If you ever messed around with DOS or did any sort of basic computer course, you are typing and writing in prompts, but there's also a user interface that you can mouse click on and interact with too. So don't be deterred. Like, if you look at this and you find it overwhelming, it's deceptively presentation based to, as I say, make it feel like you're a Hollywood hacker in some sort of high profile movie. And that cuts both ways. If you think you're going to learn anything about hacking it, this is not it. No, I've done my share of programming for work, but also I've done rudimentary cybersecurity stuff, and this is really tip of the iceberg. It's more about a fun game based around a theme, as all games should be, and opposed to kind of the new wave of simulators, which a lot of them have it back to front. Not to tangent too much, but I talk about this often. Games with the name simulator in them are often not very fun games. They'll simulate wall painting simulator and create systems to mimic all that stuff and emulate it, but they think secondarily about whether it's fun for the player or not. So this game has the philosophy the correct way around. There's been a few other derivative copies of this, or, in this space genre, whatever you want to call it, but Hacknet is the best. This is the one that you should play. I also recognize that presentation-wise, what can I really do with this video? It has a certain style, which is looking at, computer prompt lines. It's not going to particularly tell you much or get you that excited, but it still, like I said, marries a clickable interface. There's a lot of quality of life stuff that you do get from working with computer prompt entries, like tab for autocomplete. Maybe you want to run a program inside your computer in this game and you press S and you press tab and it'll autocomplete the rest of the name, up to recall lines, that sort of thing. You'll lean into that quite a bit. Yeah, but this isn't for wall of text snooty prudes. Oh, this isn't a real hacking game. This is for people that just want a really interesting, fun adventure. There's different audio tracks as you hit checkpoints, and there are some really actually cool mic drop moments, especially in the back end of the game, that I don't want to give away, even though statute of limitations on a 10-year-old game is kind of expired. But if you find yourself here, there's a good chance you don't really know much about Hacknet. So the impetus, the kickoff, you make your login, your password. There's a little bit of role play there, I suppose, and you log into an email and you're following a retroactive paper trail of someone doing the whole, hey, if I'm typing this and you're reading this, then I'm dead, and on you go. And that on-ramps you through a sort of tutorial opening. Hey, here are some basic tasks to prove your worth. You reply to emails and then you start doing contracts for the local kind of hacking association. But to give you an idea of the rhythm of it, because it's so very difficult to describe this, especially if you're outside of it, you've never played it or anything like that. You get like a visual aid of nodes, which is best described as different computers, and they're connected to each other. And sometimes you can scan your local computer. You'll have a local interface and it'll be a systems folder, and also a few things that you can shortcut, like you can probe things, and that's how you start hacking and breaking in. A lot of the focus is kind of about, if you want to think of it like lock-picking a door, except the door will have multiple locks on it and multiple layers upon it and traces and all sorts of stuff. But I guess that's probably the core loop, as best described, is trying to break into a complex door lock. And then once you're in there, you can root around and do whatever it is that you're supposed to be doing in there, whether it's reading files, copying files, deleting evidence, again, scanning, seeing if there's any other computers networked to this computer that you can then leapfrog onto. And it also teaches you about covering up your own trail. There's log systems in modern OSs, and that's no exception in this game, and it's pretty rudimentary, but you're taught the shortcuts to remove all or individual files, clear out the logs, cover your trail. And as you go along, you find programs, executables that you can copy back to your home-based computer and then in turn use them to do things like opening ports, port hacking, and then you'll get layers upon that. You'll have like a proxy protecting the traffic going into a server, which in turn you want to overload, and you'll learn how to shell slave computers that you already have broken into and have admin access, and you can use them to basically DDoS the proxy front end and break through that. And there's multiple different ports, and each of them will have different type of exe files to break into. But look, this isn't supposed to be a super robust video. This is, again, me reminiscing. I've just dropped back in. I've started a new game. I'm bopping away to the beats. I'm enjoying getting back into the rhythm. And, you know, again, you do feel sleuthy, right? You're given a task, and I'm already running contracts for the local group, and go in, read around in the files. You know, there's some cringy leet speak stuff because the files that you're scooping around in are those sort of people, and they're stereotyped here. But it adds flavor, right? If you're rooting around inside these computers, it makes sense that there'll be some sort of log files. There's, you know, chat files, that sort of thing. You can see what people have been up to, but you stay on target, you do your mission, you extract your files or whatever it is that you have to do, rename something, delete something, clean up your footprint, move on. And that's how the early going of this game goes. And again, when this first came out, I was not exactly a heavy-duty programmer. I've done a lot of programming since, sort of a career pivot. I had a rudimentary understanding through, you know, engineering programming, but that's an almost entirely different field. You use different programs, different languages like MATLAB, things like that. So I would say I was pretty novice when this came out, and it was totally graspable. It does a great job of explaining it, but it also, at the same time, it does keep you thinking. It keeps your mind twisting over it. It is kind of like a puzzler. You have to pay attention and really think about what you're doing and keep track of your potential footprint and paper trail. Really unique game, still holds up today because of the way that it is designed, the aesthetic, that sort of thing. It's kind of timeless in a way. I did have a bit of UI scaling problems, which I've had with some of these games going back to, because resolutions like 4K weren't really a thing back then. But in the end, I just ran this at, you know, normal HD, and the scale was fine, right? The resolution wasn't blurry or anything like that. I mean, maybe there's a mod workshop. Sometimes these older games, it's people mod in UI scaling things. I never looked into it. I just played this vanilla, but playing it at a lower resolution as per 10 years ago was just fine. Anyway, it's great. It's worth a couple of bucks, even just to see. It might be your new favorite obsession. If you like puzzlers, if you do have a bit of a broad palette, which, you know, maybe you've been around the channel for a little bit and you've seen some of my videos, you'll recognize I play just about anything that's interesting. And this is, not only is it interesting, it's probably the best in show in this space, in this genre, whatever you would want to call it. I call it Hollywood hacking. And yeah, I don't need to go circular. I've made my piece. Pick it up, check it out. Let's put a pin in it, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.